Good morning. I want to welcome you officially to the JCGA Legislative Breakfast. We're glad that you're here this morning, and we're excited to hear some of the results of the hard work that went on at our state and federal legislatures this year. So we want to get our program started, and before we do that, I want to introduce Ann Portell, who's the president of the Jefferson County Growth Association, and she's got a few remarks to kick us off this morning. So, Ann?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming. This is an important event that Jefferson County Growth Association puts on, and we welcome everyone. I'd like to thank the college and the Jefferson County Growth Association because this is the 12th year that we've done this. And today we need to thank our sponsors for a free event for the breakfast: Sheep Meadow Workers, Ameren, Missouri, Dan Provo Land Service. Sorry about that, Dan. On it, we also have some special memberships, and we call them the bronze membership. It's where they give $1,000, and that's Mark Merton, Premier Wealth, Doe Run, First State Community Bank, Eagle Bank, Ameren, Missouri. And also wanted to let you know that we're working on a new website. It was running up here if you had noticed it. It's jeffcomo411.com. It's a community information. And our website, the Jefferson County Growth Association, is not quite ready yet, but will be in the future. On it, again, I thank all of you for coming and attending, and we'll get started. Thank you.
All right, well, again, my name is Ray Comiskey, president here at Jefferson College, and also a board member on JCGA, and we're really thrilled that you're here today. Today we're here to talk about the first regular session of the 97th Missouri General Assembly. A couple of tidbits of information. There were 1,590 pieces of legislation filed, but only 163 bills actually make it all the way through the process for final passage. Most of those bills now, the bills that are truly agreed to and finally passed, many of them are considered to be consent bills, which means they're generally non-controversial and don't carry any unusual fiscal impact to the state. These bills are now on the governor's desk, and he has until July 14th to either sign or veto these bills. Once received, the governor can do a couple of things. He can sign the bill and make it part of the law. He can veto the bill, and it's returned to the General Assembly, where it takes 2/3 vote to overturn it. He could not sign the bill. If he doesn't take any action within the prescribed time, the law goes to the Secretary of State, who then enrolls the bill as an authentic act, and it becomes law. Or he can veto line item bills within an appropriation. So the General Assembly could also override this veto by a 2/3 majority vote. So even though the session's over, a lot could still happen. And it was a very busy session, and we want to hear a lot about it. So we've asked our legislators to come up. The pecking order is going to be so forth. We'll start with the Missouri Senate, then we'll go to the House, and then we have representatives from our federal legislators who will make some comments. We will have time for questions at the end. I ask you to hold it to the end so we can get through everybody, and that way everybody gets a chance to have their say. So kicking us off this morning is State Senator Ryan McKenna. Ryan?
Sit down. That's for the people listening that think I just got a standing ovation. I'm Ryan McKenna. It's great to be back at my alma mater, Jefferson College. I'm the veteran of the Jefferson County squad. I have a 1.5 years left on my contract, and I can't be re-signed. So I can talk from a different place, I guess, than most of these people, because nobody can do anything to me in Jeff City anymore. First, I had a comment about Senator Gary Romine, who couldn't be here. He's got another job. He had to cancel yesterday. But for those that don't know Gary, it was a pleasure to work with him this past session. He and I worked very closely on a lot of issues, labor-related, Doe Run, the Jefferson County Port, transportation, And I'm going to talk about a few of those, but the best compliment I can give Gary is just he's a good man, and Southern Jefferson County is lucky to have him. Some of the positives, although, my opinion, there were few. For the first time, and it seems like my whole career in the Senate, we had more money. The economy, for you business owners, you can see is starting to turn around. There's more revenue in the state, and for the first time, we've been able to give more money to Jefferson College. It seems like every year, interest groups like Jefferson College were just trying to hold on to what their funding was the previous year, and we were able to do additional funding. For the first time ever, we have money in the budget for our port, which is moving along fantastically. This money is going to allow them to do, although it's not a lot of money, it's going to allow them to do a few things that they need to do, maybe acquire some land, pay some attorney's fees, do some engineering, and things like that, and they didn't have the ability to do that before. We passed a bill, a very bipartisan effort for Doe Run that is going to hopefully allow them to remain in business. Doe Run is the last lead smelting company in America. The only other major lead smelter in the world is in China. If you drove here today, the odds are the lead in your batteries came from Doe Run. They employ 1,600 people, 250 of them in Herculaneum. They're a major component to not just Jefferson County, but the whole state's economy. And Senator Romine, Representative Roarda, I know was very instrumental in passing some legislation to help Doe Run. And finally, we were able to fix the second injury fund that had been unfunded for a long time, while we also protected those with occupational diseases such as mesothelioma. And that was Senator Roop from St. Charles did an outstanding job in that, which was interesting to me because he basically locked everybody out of the room except for senators early on in the session. It didn't sit well with the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, but we knew what needed to be done to get that bill passed, and he was a statesman in that effort. Some bills that, in my opinion, were not so positive, for the 6th year in a row, maybe the 7th, we failed to pass an economic development bill again. Although I'm a gun guy, we filed way more gun bills than we did any bills that create jobs, and that was frustrating. And some of the ones that frustrated me were, we have Glenn Boyer, our sheriff. He's good friends with Ron Skaggs, who's a U.S. attorney. If Ron Skaggs tries to enforce any federal gun laws, Glenn Boyer has to arrest Ron Skaggs. It doesn't make any sense. We had a bill that mandated that teachers will carry guns in schools, and if the school says that teacher A is the one carrying guns and teacher A says, I don't want to, they can be fired for that reason. Sometimes we just go overboard. We are a Second Amendment loving county, and I am too, but sometimes our priorities are messed up in Jeff City. We passed something called Agenda 21. I can't even understand it. It's a non-binding resolution or something, but people think black helicopters are flying around the Capitol. That was frustrating. Of course, no Medicaid expansion and constant attacks on organized labor. Constant. More anti-labor bills this year than my whole 14 years in the legislature combined. Senator Romine was very helpful with me on that. Organized labor is 8% of our workforce in Missouri, but they seem to take the brunt of a lot of legislation and the blame from a lot of people. And to me, the middle class is what makes this country strong, and without labor, we wouldn't have a middle class. And finally, the issue that I'm saddened by and frankly mad about was SJR 16, which is the bill that I sponsored along with Senator Kehoe in the Senate, which was an investment in transportation infrastructure. We've got 2,200 bridges that are deficient. What that means, when they go to the next level, they have to be shut down. We've got more road miles in Missouri than Kansas and Illinois combined. We have the lowest motor fuel tax. We haven't invested in transportation in 20 years. a bill passed and this would have went to the voters to decide if they wanted to approve this. One of the roles, I believe, in my opinion, one of the roles and obligations of government is to invest in our infrastructure. And we are falling way behind. The Association of Civil Engineers gave our country a D, and it's going to take $3.7 trillion to make our infrastructure investment up to par. The bill passed 24 out of 10 out of the Senate early on, I think March 14th, went over to the House, passed the House the last week of session. It was delayed over there for a number of reasons. Passed with 100 votes out of the House. Everybody here voted for it, thankfully. And because there was an amendment in the House, it had to come back over to the Senate. And unfortunately, 3 senators end up filibustering the bill the last week, and none of us saw it coming. They basically lied to us and said they'd allow it to come to a vote, and when we had a week left, then they decided to filibuster the bill. I'm glad I'm not giving this speech the day after that happened, because I was not happy. And then finally, I'll close with something kind of cool. A few weeks ago, I got a call from the governor's office, and they asked me to go on a trade mission. I leave June 14th with a lot of Missouri companies, Monsanto, Boeing, and we're going to France, to England, and to Brussels. And what I hear is like 16-hour days, so you don't have a lot of sightseeing, but the experience of that is going to be amazing, and I'm sure I'll talk to KJF Radio when I get back and tell them what we did. But the one cool thing we're doing before we get serious is we're going to Normandy, to Omaha Beach, and there's going to be a ceremony there with Missouri soldiers that are abroad, and it just gives me goosebumps to think about how cool that's going to be. But I'm happy to answer any questions when we're done, and thank you all for being here. Thank you to the college, to JCG. Let's see, how do I get this right now? JCGA? JCGA, and to KJF Radio. Thank you.
All right, very good. Well, that's our look at the Missouri Senate. Now we will move over to the House. There's no particular order, but we're going to kind of switch back and forth between parties as we can. But we will go ahead and start off with Jeff Roda.
Let's draw the short straw.
Yeah.
John voted for me to go first so he could hear what I said. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for, this is always a great event that we look forward to, and part of our process of decompressing or maybe decomposing after the legislative session. So we always look forward to talking and sort of doing a wrap-up, a post-mortem, as it were, of what occurred this legislative session. Now, one of the first things you learn when you get to Jeff City is that it's easier to kill a bill than it is to pass one. It only takes, as Ryan pointed out with the transportation bill, only takes 1 or 2 senators to decide they don't like something. A handful of chairmen over in the House can easily kill a bill. Certainly the Speaker or the President Pro Tem of the Senate can kill something with the snap of their fingers. That is a truism that you learn when you walk through the door. It's also a truism that you learn that it's easier to vote no than it is to vote yes. It's easier to be against something than it is to be for something, because going back home and explaining why you were against something is always easier for a legislator. But that, frankly, is not what's good for the people that sent us to Jeff City. They sent us there to get things done, and when we take that easy path, the folks that suffer are the folks back home that elected us to offer it. And particularly, in the case of this legislative session, the least among us are the folks that suffer the most when we follow the easy path of inaction and political expediency. I got to tell you that this was a session of missed opportunities. Particularly, I'll tell you about 3 things that I'm very discouraged. You know, there was a bipartisan group of folks in both chambers that wanted to take some big bites at the policy apple. And Ryan already talked about the transportation bill. That wasn't a tax increase, that was just a proposal to put in front of the voters to decide if they wanted to fix a problem we have with diminishing returns from the gas tax. The gas tax is a set 17 cents, no matter how much gas costs. The more gas people use, the more money we bring in, but the higher the price goes, the less revenue there is, and the more renewable energy sources with regards to vehicles there are, and higher mileage, the lower the tax got. So as a result, we have a crumbling transportation system, and we've needed a solution to that for some time. Ryan did yeoman's work over in the Senate to get that bill over to the House. We should have left it, we should have passed it the way it came to us. Instead, we made some changes, and it went back over to the Senate where it died. The big thing for me, the thing I was probably most engaged in this session was Medicaid expansion. We had an opportunity to take $900 million that we had sent to the feds through our tax dollars, through our federal tax dollars, bring that back home and provide health care for veterans, disabled, working poor, and seniors. And we said no to bringing back our own money. It was the biggest economic development bill I've ever seen in my political career. 24,000 new jobs, they estimated. The impact of that $900 million when it comes back into your economy, that money is spent and respent up to 4 or 5 times. So the economic impact, you're talking about close to 500, they didn't give us a math test when we put our name on the ballot, but we're talking about a lot of money, $5 billion, I guess. I understood when I ran for office there'd be no math. Famous Chevy Chase line. But it's really discouraging that we were unable to get that common sense legislation across the line, and I think it speaks poorly of a broken process that we have that it's really up to you, the voters, to fix. The other real discouraging thing is we had a chance to not only pass economic development legislation, but also to decrease and rein in these tax credits, this form of corporate welfare we have in Missouri that gives away far too much of our budget, leaves us with too little money to spend on the things that you folks have told us are important, like education, funding our colleges and our public schools, K through 12, expanding our veterans' homes for our brave military veterans, and providing services to the elderly and poor. We decided that we would get gridlocked in another, frankly, partisan mess, and couldn't get that legislation advanced. No economic development bill, again, no jobs bill, and no cap on these tax credits, which bleed money out of our state budget that could go for some pretty important things. Now, I'll tell you, it's not all gloomy news. I hate to be the gloomy Gus up here and talk about the failures, but that really does sort of personify this session. A lot of failures, a lot of shortcomings. I got to tell you that I enjoy serving on the committees I do. Public safety, crime and public safety, obviously is my favorite committee. I've been on that committee my entire 8 years. The thing I love about that committee is the partisan IDs sort of just melt away, and we work together to get things done to make this a safer state. Work very closely with the chairman, Dave Hinson, who's a good friend of mine from Franklin County, does a great job. And that's when it's a pleasure to serve up there. And I wish we could just operate that way all the time, where we let these partisan issues melt away and we just roll up our sleeves, as Ryan talked about with the second injury fund, and decide we're going to get stuff done. But again, here's my message to you folks and the folks that are listening on KJF. You've got to tell us, you've got to tell me and my colleagues that that's what you want to done. That's how you want your government to operate, that you're tired of this congressional model where it's all about the politics of no and dysfunctional, gridlocked government. You sent us there to get stuff done. That's what we ought to be doing, and that's what I'll do, frankly, as long as I'm in the legislature, is try to get the important issues of the day advanced and work across the aisle, work across the other side of the building with the Senate to get things done. And you know, that's who I am. It's what I do, and I appreciate all the support I get from the community, all the support in particular I get from the business community, as evidenced by the number of folks that are here today. So thank you again. Appreciate you having this event, and thank you for breakfast and a minute to talk. Thanks.
All right, we've heard already from our first two speakers that there's a lot of cooperation across the Jefferson County line, and I'm fortunate enough in my position here at the college that I spend a lot of time in Jeff City. I get a chance to work with these legislators and interact. And I will tell you, you know, there are party divisions from time to time, but this group does come together to work on the interest of Jefferson County residents, and not all my colleagues up there in the hallways can say that. So we're very fortunate in Jefferson County to get the kind of support that we get across the board on important issues when they come up. Well, trying to keep it balanced, so we will jump over to the other party, as they say. I will ask John McCarty to come up and give his view of the House.
Thank you all for coming this morning. Great opportunity to hear everybody's opinions and all that. And let me start out by saying that working with these men and women up here has truly been a pleasure. We really do walk down the hall and go to each other's office and say, hey, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? Or we'll stop each other on the floor of the House and decide what's best for the county, and not so much what's best for our political parties or whatever. And I'm kind of with Jeff on this. I wished our whole state would do that. So we have bridged those gaps. And I think that's a very, very good thing. I think there are some things that we could have got accomplished that I wished would have went a little further, a little faster. But that's the legislative process. And the good news is that we didn't pass all 1,900 something bills that were filed. You know, everybody has a good idea. When they get there, everybody has what they feel is the issue that's going to solve the problems of our state. And our job is to weed through all those and try to figure out what's actually needed without overburdening businesses, without overburdening families, and without all the red tape and all the stuff that burdens people down. Some of the issues that have been mentioned in the last couple of comments that I'd like to address. One was the transportation issue, and I think Ryan mentioned it, that I think everyone in our county voted for that. And we voted for it because it went to the vote of the people. And I look at that, and it's easy. I don't think I would ever be able to vote for a tax increase on our people unless it's their choice, you know. And I think that we have, in this situation with our infrastructure and with our roads and with our bridges and the problems that we're seeing, I think we have a very solid reason to ask the people if they want to spend that money. And I think it would directly benefit our county with our construction and our utility people and folks like that we have ready to work. So, you know, I understand, you know, some of the issues that maybe the Senate had with that. I get the whole tax credit problem, but the reality of it is tax credits is one of the few economic tools that we have in our toolbox. Some of those tax credits do not produce a return on investment like we need, but some of them do, and some of them do very, very well. And so I think, along with the other representatives and our good senator here from Jefferson County, want to see us go through these and determine which ones provide the state the return on investment that it needs, and go ahead and keep those, and then get rid of the ones that aren't performing like they should be. You know, back in special session 2010, they passed a bill for Manufacturing Jobs Act, and it benefited a couple of automotive industries here in the state, and it did very, very well. It has performed. You guys did an excellent job with that. It was just the return on investment is astronomical. It would be something that probably any business in here would look at and say, that would be something I would invest in. So this year I filed a bill to expand that very same program statewide for any manufacturer. But because it was a tax credit bill, as soon as it got to the Senate, it died. And so we see this kind of disconnect sometimes between what is a good tax credit and what is a tax credit that's underperforming. And so we've got to get past that. So over the summer, I'm going to be working on, and I know some of my other colleagues are going to be working on other economic development tools that we can use, or we just got to come up with a new name for tax credit. So I don't know how all that's going to work. We did do some work with the ports this year. You know, the port money I think was a big deal. You know, last session we had the port money in there. It got yanked out because of some political stuff, and you know, newspapers and radio and television people were calling people names and all this kind of. It was just a huge mess, and so eventually they just pulled the port money out and stopped the issue. This year, all that didn't happen. We told them up front that money was coming, and so it was able to stay in, and so I'm so thankful for that. I think that we can do more with the port. I think that, you know, we've got some legislation pending out there. I filed a bill, a Port Investment Act, which would allow qualified companies that would build in and around or use our ports, that would allow them some type of incentive to do that. So there were some good jobs measures out there. They just didn't see the light of day because of this whole tax credit issue. So it's something that we've really got to look at, and we've really got to figure that out. We did do some good things. You know, we took care of some veterans issues and some things like that our state's been having. We provided some educational funding for our veterans. We provided some educational incentives for our veterans. Last session we talked about when someone who's trained in the medical field back in their military service and they come home, they have to go back to college and they have to kind of relearn what they've already learned. So we worked out those issues. And so now this year we've come along and we've kind of expanded that for pretty much any training that they get, that they can come to our community colleges or they can come someplace like this and they can get some credit hours for the work that they did to try to get them reintroduced into the workforce. And these are really good moves to try to get people back to work. You know, we supported our folks back home. You know, I agree with Senator McKenna. I think sometimes, you know, on the Second Amendment stuff, we get so focused on that. I think we probably could have done one bill and addressed all of the issues that we had. And while I'm a huge Second Amendment guy, I love to shoot, I love to hunt, I love to collect firearms, all that kind of stuff. I think sometimes you get so focused on one issue that some other issues kind of fall by the wayside. And I think we kind of saw that a little bit this year. I don't remember what the final count was on how many Second Amendment bills that we had, but it was quite large. And so we really narrow those down, refocus and regroup, and maybe do some things differently. Second Injury Fund was a huge issue. Every single year we've heard about the Second Injury Fund. Every single year we've heard how it's going broke. Every single year we try to fix it, and every single year the bill failed. And this year we got it through. And so it's sitting on the governor's desk. I don't know if he signed it yet or not, but hopefully he'll sign that. And that'll be one thing less that we have to worry about is the Second Injury Fund. You know, there was a lot of good things, and there was some bad things. And I think that's the reality of any legislative year. And our job is to go back next year and pick up the good things and run with them and try to make them better over the summer so that we can get them through to the finish line. And I won't take my entire time, but I thank you guys very, very much. And again, I have truly enjoyed serving with Senator McKenna and the other representatives here in Jefferson County. It's just been a pleasure, and so I'll be happy to take any questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Once again, I want to take a moment and recognize our key sponsors, Ameren, Missouri, steel metal workers, and Governor Land Service, as well as our bronze supporters, Mark Mertens, Doe Run, First State Community Bank, Eagle Bank, and everybody else who showed up today. We really appreciate you being here. Well, we will keep our presentation going, and next up on the agenda is Ben Harris.
So I want to thank everybody for coming today, and my name is Ben Harris. I'm state representative for the 118th District, which covers southern Jefferson County and northern Washington County. I kind of go from Hillsborough, DeSoto, down to Potosi. And I also want to thank Ray Kaminsky and the JCGA there for all their support. And I'm also I love coming back to Jefferson College here. I'm a graduate of Jefferson College. I also used their 2+2 program and went through Missouri Baptist College and got my bachelor's degree. So it's a great university, and I know we all did a resolution for the 50th anniversary as well. And it's an honor to be able to not only do things here and a lot of activities here, but also to be a graduate and use some of their programs and stuff down the line. And this is my second term. This is my third year, and it's quite a learning experience. Let me tell you. And there's quite a curve. Your learning curve is very steep. You find out very quickly your first year and your second year, it kind of just flies by and you don't even know what hit you. You're up for re-election again and you're running around. It's very difficult. As a legislature, it's something down there, and there were some good things that went through. There's some bad things. A lot of people talked before me about some of the issues, so I won't go into a lot of them. But I'll just talk about a few things. What the governor has done already, he has vetoed the circuit breaker, which I was glad. I voted against it, and that was the circuit breaker for the seniors and disabled, and it was for the renters portion. And I've had a lot of people call me and stuff while it was being debated and on the floor this year, and that how they really rely on that, and that really keeps them in their homes. And without that, a lot of seniors and disabled and different people would be in a tough spot. And I know we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on tax credits. We spend hundreds of millions of dollars on this. And then, we should be able to at least put a few bucks out there for our seniors and disabled and elderly. And I'm glad Governor Nixon vetoed that bill that would have stripped the circuit breaker tax credit for renters. And there's other issues out there. I know they talked about transportation. They talked about that 1% sales tax that went to the people. But there was another issue out there, too. I don't think anybody talked to you yet. That was the bond issue. We had a bond issue that failed. And this is, it wouldn't have cost taxpayers any money. And there would have been a lot of infrastructure. Schools do it a lot. They're always renewing bond issues and for capital improvements for different things. And we had an opportunity to do that this year, and we let it fall to the wayside, and we didn't let it pass. The state has pretty much paid off a bunch of bonds from 25, 30 years ago, and we're an opportunity with historic low interest rates and everything right now. We missed a good opportunity, I think, that we could have, the bond issue, and it would have went to the people as well. They could have approved that bond issue, just like schools put on the issues usually in April there to redo infrastructure. And so I think we should have definitely pushed for that and got that through. And also there are a few things the Senate kind of talked about a little bit this year. It never came up in the House, but every year that I've been up there, I've co-sponsored legislation to reinstate campaign contribution limits. The voters approved campaign contribution limits by over 70%. And then a few years after that, the legislature got rid of them. And I think we need to reinstate campaign contribution limits and put stuff on an even playing field a little better. Missouri is one of the only states in the country that has unlimited campaign contribution limits, unlimited gifts from lobbyists and special interest groups. And that allows certain individuals, very wealthy individuals in this state, that can come in and buy elections, buy legislation, and buy what they want. And that's not the way Missouri is meant to be. We're here to work for the people, not for certain special interest groups that have unlimited money. So, well, I'm glad we got a hand out of that, but that's something I've co-sponsored every year. I've been up there 3 years in a row for the campaign contribution limits, and we just can't get it to go anywhere. And some of the top leadership guys say there's no problem because they're the ones getting the big money. They don't see a problem when it's coming to them. And the voters approved it by over 70%. I believe there's an initiative petition that has already been filed with the Secretary of State's office through, I think it's a pro-life group actually that filed it. And they're already going around collecting signatures to try to get to the voters again, because the voters will approve it easily. And we just can't get it to the legislature. I just want to talk, and we got the bond issue, the campaign contribution limits. We also passed a car tax fix, the out-of-state car tax. We passed it last year. It got vetoed. It had some problems. We did it again this year. It got vetoed again. And so we came back and we're refixing it. And hopefully we took out some of the issues. Right now you could go to like Illinois, and if you live around St. Louis at all, the Illinois car dealers are advertising that, hey, come to our state, buy a car here and save a bunch of money. And some areas have use taxes that are already in place and others don't. So they're trying to work on that. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I don't want to stand up here and talk too long, but I just want to thank everybody for coming, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to come here and talk to everybody. And it's an honor for me to be able to serve the constituents of the 118th District. And I'm kind of glad to be out of Jeff City, to be back home, to be back here, where I can go around my district, talk to constituents, listen to their concerns, and help them out. Sometimes being in the minority party, which I am, I can do a lot of, I work mainly with constituents, and they're the ones that put me there. They're the ones that voted for me. They're the ones that put me in office, and I do everything I can to help my constituents with problems. A lot of times, they just don't know who to turn to. They call me. Being out in the rural area, I have more of the rural part of Jefferson County, and I go down and take half of Washington County. And there's not a lot of programs down there like there is in St. Louis and Kansas City and different areas for people to contact. And so the first person they see is, well, I'll contact my state representative. And I get questions from all across the board. And I'm glad I can help people. And sometimes it's just a matter of pointing them in the right direction. And hooking, there's a lot of organizations, a lot of groups out there that help people, and it's connecting them, just connecting the dots for them and where to go. And a lot of times they just need a helping hand and somebody to listen to their concerns. And even if I can't help them, they just, they like to talk to somebody. And if you just sit there and listen to them, you'll be amazed how even if you can't help them, when they get to the end, they'll be, well, thank you for listening to me. And so I really like it. And again, I just want to thank Jefferson College and everybody here. And I'll try to answer any questions afterwards. And I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Well, you can't have a program without a few commercial breaks, so I always try to plug a couple things in there. For those of you in attendance to our event this morning, you see on your table a flyer for the JCGA golf tournament. It's coming up. We certainly would appreciate your support and interest in that event. June 20th, and we'd appreciate your support. We also want to encourage you, if you're not a member of JCGA, to join the legislative forum. It's just one of the many events we do as a community service. You can think of us as an umbrella organization serving all of Jefferson County and trying to connect those dots, and you'll see those forms out on your table as well. So feel free to ask a member. You've got information. We'd love to have you join us and support economic growth in Jefferson County. Well, we have two new faces in our state legislature this year. I think everybody sitting up here today has somehow been affected by term limits and trying to decide their time in the legislature. But two people that are new to the process are, like I say, they're new to the process, but they're not necessarily new to Jefferson County. In fact, our next speaker, I think more people I've come across know you personally, Elaine, than know you politically. So you're well known all across Jefferson County. So will you help me welcome Elaine Gannon?
Well, I guess they saved the two newbies for last, but good morning and thank you for inviting me to be here today. And in Dr. Kaminsky's letter of invitation, he stated that he's blessed to have a positive team in Jefferson City, and I would just like to say that I am honored to be a part of Team Kaminsky. I also attended Jefferson College and graduated from here in 1973 and then went on to Southeast Missouri State. I'll first talk about probably the biggest negative thing that I experienced in Jefferson City, and you all have heard of the freshman 15 when you go off to college. Well, I think I came away wearing my extra freshman 15 at the end of the session. In fact, I told TJ when they set the food up back there, I said, oh, here we go again. We saw that same setup just about every day somewhere in the Capitol. So they took care of us in the food department. But anyway, people ask me if I enjoyed my first year or if I liked my first year, and it was a very rewarding year, and I was honored to serve the people of my district, District 115. I was told by several seasoned legislators that freshmen should sit down, shut up, and listen. And I tried to do that because it is truly a learning experience. There were so many terms that were thrown at you that I thought, well, what does that mean, you know? And then you grab your little book and you look it up, and it's just a learning experience. But I realized that at the end of the day, the one thing that mattered the most was my family. And my husband Dennis and our sons Andrew and Jason were very, very supportive throughout the entire year. My goal in Jeff City was to improve the lives of the people that live in District 115. And I always voted what was best for my district, even if it meant crossing the aisle on my vote. I kept in touch with people from my district and said, hey, you know, what do you think about this bill, or what do you think about that bill? Most of you know that I'm a retired school teacher. I taught 32 years at DeSoto, and I retired in 2007. And during my campaign, part of my platform was to support all levels of education. I served on the Education Committee in Jeff City, and at the end of the day, the legislature passed a nearly $25 billion budget that provides more money for Missouri colleges and universities, and a historic high for K through 12 funding. Very, very much needed. The foundation formula still is not fully funded. However, this was a big step for the legislator, and I know the schools are going to look forward to that. So I'm very proud that we were able to reward more money to schools and universities, and I think this was probably a result of maybe the economy being a little bit better and more revenue coming in, and hopefully this will continue. Hopefully it will not just be a one-year thing, and if things continue as is, then hopefully we can continue to give more money to education. I also served on the Veterans Committee with John and TJ, and what a great committee to serve on. For one thing, nobody ever votes no. You can't look out there and see those veterans and turn them down. But I won't go into what we did because John pretty much covered that, but I will say that I'm looking forward to serving again next year with John and TJ on that committee and see what we can do to continue to improve the lives of our veterans. Ditto on the guns. That just blew me away. And again, I agree with Representative McCarty and Senator McKenna on those. Well, as far as Jefferson College is concerned, I enjoyed Dr. Kaminsky's visits to the Capitol. He always stopped by my office, and one thing we know that fads come and go, and technology is not a fad. It's here to stay in our ever-changing society, and I just want Dr. Kaminsky to know that I want to support, whatever it is Jefferson College needs to continue to get access to ways students can access and use technology. It will give more opportunities for online learning, and that's one of the big new things that students have access, or if the school is equipped, can have access to. The college, I'm also aware the college has been adding programs in the health field, and I strongly support this effort, and I will vote for legislation in the future that will provide more opportunities for our young people to find jobs. So important. Again, I would also like to thank Dr. Kaminsky, the college, and JCGA for inviting me here today, and all your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Appreciate that. Of course, it's great to have anybody bring up the broadband issue, which you know is a passionate issue of mine. Appreciate your support on that, and please don't let them know my job is quite as easy with as much support as we get in Jeff City. I want them to think I earned my keep here. All right, well, our last state speaker is maybe a new face, but a familiar name. And I hope we left you some things to talk about. No. Nothing else. Without further ado, TJ McKenna.
Yeah, thank you. I have nothing to say. You guys said everything that needs to be said. But I do want to thank the college and the JCGA. There you go. I said it right. Yeah. Well, Elaine just got it right. For having us and for all you guys coming out here. I'm not going to really discuss too many issues. You guys just starting to become a little repetitive here. I just want to kind of talk about my experience up there. It was frustrating, but it is truly an honor. You can't let all those frustrating things get to you. It's government, it's how it works. Wanted to touch base on the veterans issue. We had a lot of teary eyes when we were going through those committees, and I still don't think that we do enough for our veterans. But it's an honor to serve with John and Elaine on there, and we did a lot of good things. I actually had filed a bill, didn't go anywhere, so I had to do the old amendment process, but it allows all state parks and all state buildings to fly the Honor and Remember flag for our fallen soldiers with the support of everybody here and almost everybody in the legislature. It passed pretty easily. I know Ryan helped me out in the Senate, on the Senate side. It was non-controversial, but that was probably my biggest accomplishment up there. I hope next year we can keep expanding on helping out our veterans. I was also on the Transportation Committee, and I guess I will touch base on that legislation. I was very devastated, not as mad as Ryan was here. I haven't been up there that long, but I was able to speak on the floor. I don't stand up for much. I try to sit down and not talk as much as I wanted to, but I am up here, and I believe in certain issues that I am going to stand up. I'm going to stand up and talk on. This transportation deal would have created 270,000 jobs. It's not a typo. It's 270,000 jobs that we failed to act on. So that was pretty disappointing. I see BJ out there. I serve on the Extension Council, and we were able to help the Extension Council out. I hope Governor Nixon doesn't veto that bill. And I guess I'll touch on the whole Doe Run issue. We had sent a joint letter to Governor Nixon yesterday asking him not to veto the Doe Run language. That is vital to get this port going. I campaigned on getting the port. All this stuff is going on in my district, and I'll stick my neck out on the line for anybody as long as we can do it for the greater good of the state of Missouri. I've been talking with the Doe Run folks. You guys are doing a heck of a job. They're spending over $1 million helping out the school districts alone. They're installing solar panels on Herculaneum School District. They're retrofitting diesel engine buses. And I mean, these are the things that you don't have to do that kind of get overlooked, and I applaud your efforts. And I really hope that we can get that legislation passed so we can make a way for the ports. I know everybody up here is touch base on the ports, so I'm not going to sit up here and reiterate that, but I do want to stress the importance of it, and we will continue to work for it. I'm looking forward to next session. It is a relief to finally come home and go to events like this. Sometimes it gets a little suffocating spending 14 hours in the Capitol every day, but at least I have all you guys here that I work with. I have no problem. Elaine and I have a great relationship. I mean, I have a good relationship with all you guys, but especially with Elaine. We sat on committees together, and we're both freshmen up here. And, you know, day one when you walked in, people expect you to know everything about any kind of subject. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around half the issues that people came and talked to me about, but I think it started to click on May 16th, and May 17th is our last day. So I have all summer to study up on all the bills. And again, I just want to thank you guys for coming here. I'm honored to serve the 114th District, and hopefully I can be up there for 8 years and make a positive impact. And thank you all.
Well, as you can see, we had a very lively session in Missouri Legislature. But you know, we also, as much as we talk about getting great support at the state level, we get great support at the national level as well. And I've had the opportunity to go to DC and visit with the legislative offices. And again, we have folks up there who truly care about Jefferson County and what goes on. So Congress is still in session, so the elected representatives themselves were not able to be here today, but they all sent representatives who would like to tell us a little bit about what's going on. So keeping it kind of balanced going on that way, I will start with Roy Blunt's office, and we'll ask Mary Beth Luna Wolf to come up and make a few remarks on behalf of Senator Blunt.
Thank you very much for letting me be here today. Again, I'm Mary Beth Luna Wolf, and I'm with U.S. Senator Roy Blunt's office. And I'm his district director. I cover this region for the senator. And he has been in the state the last week during the recess, visiting with job creators on a number of different issues. You know, there are a number of very important issues that will be discussed over the next 3 weeks when session is going on. Things with powerful agencies that really hurt, kind of erode the citizens' trust in government. So that you'll hear a number of hearings on Benghazi, the IRS, Justice Department, and those are very important. But when you come back to Missouri and what the senator did over the last week when he was talking to people, their biggest concerns are with a few other things, such as the Affordable Care Act and the impact it's going to have on job creators. He met with a number of businesses who are very concerned at the cost increases that they're going to face over the next year and a half, and the uncertainty of some of the regulations and what that will mean for their business. So that was a number one issue that many of these employers brought up to the senator. I think there's also a concern with regards to electricity costs going up possibly 80% with the ban on coal-fired power plants. And so he's very concerned about those issues that are going to touch on Missouri families. And those are the things he continues to meet with people on. If you have concerns on these things or on other things, you are always welcome to contact our office. I know Brendan from Senator McCaskill's office will bring up some of the other things that he has co-sponsored with Senator McCaskill to address sexual assaults on military women, and hopefully he'll talk more about that because he could probably address that more. So I think those are kind of the major issues the senator wants to get back and make sure that we are hearing from Missouri families and employers. And so please feel free to contact our office at any point and let us know how you feel on these issues. And again, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you all today.
Well, since Mary Beth has introduced him, I will ask Brendan Fahey to come up from Senator McCaskill's office to talk to us about whatever issues might be on your legislative agenda.
On behalf of Senator McCaskill, I just want to say it's an honor to be here today. Just a little bit, like Mary Beth mentioned, the Senate is in recess this week, so Senator McCaskill is touring the state, meeting with a number of different constituencies. Just a few of the highlights. On Tuesday, she was in Kansas City, and she sought the input from Missourians to help crack down on scams, and this is a follow-up from her hearings on credit reports accuracies and the aggressive marketing tactics in the medical equipment industry. So basically, she's just meeting with Missourians, and she wants to seek their input on any scams that they've been brought attention to. And on her website, she has a link to her website where you can actually put in requests and suggestions of where she can go in to look into that issue. Also, she was in the Fort Leonard Wood area meeting with the community leaders in the Fort Leonard Wood area. She highlighted the sexual assault issues in the military, but she also met with the community leaders and talked about how the importance of the Fort Leonard Wood area and due to the Army's brigades, combat team realignment proposals in the Army, along with Senator Blunt, Senator McCaskill, they sent a joint letter to the Secretary of the Army just highlighting the importance of Fort Leonard Wood to the local community and the state as a whole, and the country as a whole for defense. Also, today she's meeting with Dr. Kamensky, might be kind of interested in this. She's in the Columbia region, and she's meeting with college students, talking about holding a college loan roundtable, meeting with the local college students to talk about the importance of student loans, and basically to highlight a bill that she's co-sponsoring called the Bank on Student Loans Fairness Act, and this is basically she wants to give give our future the same opportunities that we're giving Wall Street with the loan opportunities. So have it pegged to the same interest loans that we're giving to Wall Street, we should be giving to our college students because they are our future. So those are just a couple of the issues that Senator McCaskill is doing. Also recently, just one to highlight, Senator McCaskill went to the Senate floor and she spoke out against the Republicans' refusal to let the budget go to conference. And if anyone knows, a lot of my co-workers, Mary Beth and Dan, they always mentioned about the budget resolution and how the Senate hasn't passed the budget for a number of days. They probably could tell me, and they're great staff representatives and they represent their members well, but Senator McCaskill, due to the legislation the Senate had to pass, both the House and Senate had to pass a budget resolution. So they passed that, and in order to have the bill come to law, you have to go to conference. So the Senate is trying to get the bill to go to the conference, but it's being held up by the Republicans. So it's kind of interesting on that point that, they wanted to pass a budget and then they are holding it up in conference when the Senate leadership will be negotiating with the House leadership, which is controlled by the Republicans. So those are just a few of the issues that I had to highlight on the issue. If you have any questions, like Mary Beth said, you can always contact any of our offices. You can contact me. You can contact through the website and anything. We'd love to address anything. Thank you.
Well, Brendan hit something close to my heart with two children transferring to a four-year institution next year. That student loan information sounds pretty important. Maybe I'll be taking off to Columbia here shortly to participate in that. Our last presenter today is our newest federal representative. Through redistricting, we now are represented by 3 different congressional districts. And Dan Eggman is here on behalf of Congressman Luetkemeyer, and so we'll hear what he has to say.
Thank you, President Kaminsky, and thank all of you for being here. I'm sure you probably sat long enough this morning. You're looking to get out of here, so I'll try to be brief. Again, the President mentioned the new district. You're still number 3, but it looks significantly different. This is the eastern side of the district. We have actually have district maps for you if anyone's interested, but basically the northwest part of the county along the river just south of Arnold, and we split Festus and Crystal City with the 8th Congressional District. And then we pick up a lot more St. Louis Collard counties, we call it, most of St. Charles County now, Lincoln County, and back toward the Missouri River and the Lake of the Ozarks area. So just to give you a rough idea. Congress is on recess this week, so Blaine would tell you you're safe this week. You can laugh at them. Anyway, he's the new vice chair of the Small Business Committee, also in financial services, so he's working hard to help our community banks, credit unions, and what have you to because a lot of them have told us, with the Dodd-Frank law that, they weren't part of the problem. So we're trying to make it easier for them to operate. The port issue, you all have made that very clear. That's a top issue in this county. Last fall, the congressman toured the Doe Run site and a site in Crystal City. I attend the monthly port meetings, and we try to be as involved in that as possible and try to give a helping hand. We also Blaine led the formation of the Mississippi River and Tributaries Caucus, which is kind of a new effort to get a water transportation bill done. So obviously river issues are a big part of what we do, and I handle a lot of that personally for him back in the district. Mary Beth mentioned the investigations that are going on. We're working very hard. You probably heard Speaker Boehner talk about we're trying to get the facts of the matter. We got 5 different committees looking at Benghazi, and so we're trying to go about this slowly and carefully and really get to the bottom of what happened. Obamacare is coming. Several of you all are starting to ask questions about that. How's it going to impact me? We held another vote in the House recently to repeal that law. We also had the 7th vote in 2 years to approve the Keystone Pipeline. So this is 20,000 direct jobs that would benefit the country, over 100,000 indirect jobs. Student loans, we're at a college, Brendan talked about it. We had a vote last week to prevent the rates from doubling. That'll happen July 1st if we don't take action. So what we want to do in the House is move the student loan rates to a more market-based rate based upon the free market. Brendan also talked about the budget. We passed the No Budget, No Pay Act. So like Brendan said, we both have budget resolutions now, which is a big step. We haven't had that in a long time. But be honest with you, we're worlds apart on it. I know Chairman Ryan on our side is talking to Chairman Murray in the Senate, and they're trying to come together. But again, we may be back at the continuing resolution process, to be quite honest with you. So we'll start working on appropriations bills soon when we come back. I might mention the House budget balances in 10 years. So we feel like that's a major step forward. It's interesting that the federal government, has spent more than it has taken in the last 55 out of 60 years. So we have to start living within our means. I've got an email sign-up sheet there if you want to get on our email list. There's lots of ways you can get in touch with us. We're really looking forward to, we're excited about representing your county. So if you get ideas, things you want the congressman to be at, let me know. We'll try to be here as much as possible. My office is in Washington, Missouri, so again, I try to be here when he can't. And I might just mention Jackie Winship is a staff member for Congressman Ann Wagner. And she was sick this morning, had planned to be here, but they represent the Arnold area. But otherwise, I'm sure several of y'all have worked with her. Anyway, look forward to your questions. So thank you.
We have just a couple minutes if there are any questions, either for our state or federal. We'll start with Dave Mangelsdorf.
Yeah, Ryan, as a petroleum marketer and a member of the Petroleum Market Association of Missouri, we were very interested in getting that transportation bill passed as well. What really hung that thing up, and what can we look at doing next year to try to make that happen?
And for our listeners, let me just say, it's a question about the transportation bill. Ryan, you want to step up to the microphone?
David, what was interesting about that bill, as opposed to a lot of major pieces of legislation, we had the Missouri Petroleum Marketers on board. We had the unions and non-unions. We had the Chamber of Commerce. We had the rail people, the port people, the aviation people, the bicycle people. Hey, you laugh, but there are 60,000 strong throughout the state, and if you get, 80% of them are going to vote for it, and that's major. I've never seen a bill of this magnitude that had 0 people testify in opposition for in the House. One person testified in opposition in the Senate. The next day they had the hearing in the House. I talked to him after the Senate hearing. He testified in favor of the bill the next day. Because he didn't understand what the bill actually did. We had an opportunity right now with the motor fuel tax. You can only spend that money on roads and bridges. You can't spend it on any other forms of transportation, which this new funding would have allowed you to spend it on a Jefferson County port or whatever issue multimodal that you had in the area. What happened was 3 senators lied, and they voted against it when it went out of the Senate in March, and when it came back, they knew that if it came back the last week of session, 3 senators can kill anything the last week of session, because we have so many different issues to get to. The floor leader's not going to allow 12-hour debate on a bill. If we would have got this back, David, 2 weeks earlier, we would have just made them stand there until they fell down. And I know my dad, on a personal note, is the co-chair of the Missouri Transportation Alliance. He would leave Crystal City and drive to St. Joe and talk to 5 people for no pay because it was so important. And for 3 people to ruin that is very frustrating to me, especially when it's a bipartisan issue that we had support from virtually most of the Senate except for 3. So, Mark.
Is there any chance of changing the Senate's bylaws?
Well, the problem is you need it on the 14 ballot. So, to what I said to the one senator, Senator Lamping, I'll say his name, who happens to be related to Pat Lamping, who we all know, and Pat couldn't get John Lamping to answer his phone call for the last week because I was trying everything I could think of to try to get through to this guy. The problem is, it needs to be on the 14 ballot. If we go back again next year and the industries don't know if it's going to pass the legislature, they're not going to waste the time and money. So what I told John Lamping is, what you're doing now is we're going to have to go to an initiative petition, and you preach that you want to protect business. This is going to cost them $1 million to $1.5 million to collect signatures to get it on the ballot. And, well, okay. I could go all day because I'm so frustrated.
As you can see, our problem is our legislators have no passion about what they do, right? Are there any other questions for any of our panelists up here? Well, if not, again, on behalf of the Growth Association, we want to thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching on JCTV. Don't forget our golf tournament's coming up. Don't forget, if you're not a member of JCGA, please take a form with you or see a member. We'd love to have you as a member. Thank you to our sponsors, Govero Land Service, Sheet Metal Workers, Local 36, Ameren, Missouri, our bronze supporters, Mark Mertens from Premier Wealth, Doe Run, First State Community Bank, Eagle Bank, and everyone else who supports what we're doing here on behalf of Jefferson County. So thank you for being here, and our folks will be here to answer more questions if you need them. Thank you.